Tottenham lined up in a 4-4-2 formation with Harry Kane and Heung-min Son leading the attack. Arsenal lined up in a 3-4-3 formation with Mustafi, David Luiz and Kolasinac playing at the back.
For Mourinho's preference of defensive play, 4-4-2 seemed to be a perfect formation. As a result, he preferred to build up, staying rigid to the formation rather than adapting according to the opponent's tactics. The presence of three Arsenal forwards up front meant Tottenham always had a midfielder dropping deep to maintain at least two passing options to advance. As we can see here, two passing options are still available even if Lacazette closes the lane towards the left. Similarly, the 4-4-2 allowed Tottenham to have two target men working up front, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Hence, with only 39% of total possession, Spurs opted to play direct long balls to find their target men up front.
Similarly, sticking to the shape, Kane was more involved in the press and build-up than a traditional striker does. With Kane's on duo frequently dropping to win the ball back, they were outnumbered by Arsenal defenders while closing in, as we can see here after the recovery.
Spurs managed to come up victorious thanks to a goal gifted by Kolasinac and another off a set piece. Otherwise, Tottenham were slow to transition and lost the ball more often on breaking build-ups.
Tottenham defended in a 4-4-2 formation with Kane and Son playing up front. As we can see from this instance that Spurs played very narrow and compact. In another instance, we can see Spurs press in the 4-4-2 formation. Kane leads the press and dispossesses David Luiz, leading to a shot from Lucas Moura. Here again we can see the Spurs shape and how they pressed the Arsenal defense, this time pouncing on a mistake by Emiliano Martinez, although they couldn't capitalize and score again. Due to Arsenal's formation of three at the back, the Spurs press faded out as the game progressed. The Arsenal defense found easy passes towards their centre midfielders who were dropping deep from the midfield lines. With the score tied 1-1 at halftime, Mourinho tweaked his defensive shape a bit. He reduced the distance between the midfield and the defensive line. This tweak was done in order to stop the wide 2v1 opportunities which Arsenal were creating using their inside forwards and the wing backs on the Spurs fullbacks. In this instance, we can see the Arsenal inside forward Nicolas Pepe and Arsenal's wing back Hector Bellerin having a 2v1 overload over the Spurs left back Ben Davies. And in this instance, we can see the left wing back Kieran Tierney and Aubameyang having a 2v1 over the Spurs right back Serge Aurier. After the tweak was done by Mourinho, we can clearly see the difference and the reasoning why he did the tweak. We can see in this instance that Davies was 1v1 with Hector Bellerin and Pepe, who was doing an underlapping run to support Bellerin, was taken care by the central midfielder on his side Harry Winks.
Arsenal started with the 3-4-3, aiming to use the wide sides to counter Jose Mourinho's preference to stick to a contemporary and rigid 4-4-2 structure. Arsenal preferred to advance via wide players Tierney and Bellerin while using short passes from the back to build up. As we can see here, Mustafi receives the ball and his preference is Bellerin, who is available wide and is liberal due to Pepe's operation from the half space. It was clear that the front three stood narrower with wingers operating from half space and letting fullbacks free to make runs from the out wide. Taking the advantage of space due to opposition rigidity, Arsenal used wingers to make inwards run while the wide players always had a free midfielder against the line to pass. Central midfielders were used to keep possession and sweep plays in voids. As we can see in this instance, when the opposition defenders are marking forwards well, one of the central midfielders plays a long ball towards run-making wide player to switch play on the other side. Similarly, the central midfielders occasionally drop themselves in front of the opposition first line to create passing channels to advance the play. This meant Arsenal's play was advanced predominantly from the wider side rather than the central areas. Occasionally enough, Arsenal forwards were seen dropping between the lines either to play between two lines of defense or to ease pressure off when central midfielders were properly marked. This meant Arsenal played with the ball, often retaining possession, but were not able to generate healthy vertical penetration, and as a result, their XG remained just 0.83, underperforming their average XG of 1.53 per 90 under Mikel Arteta.
Arsenal defended in a 5-3-2 formation, with Lacazette leading the press along with Pepe or Aubameyang depending on which side the ball was played to. In this instance, we can see Lacazette and Aubameyang leading the press, and in this instance we can see Lacazette and Pepe leading the press. An interesting point to note was that Arsenal did not press intensively but rather passively. They tried to block as many passes as possible towards the central midfielders of Tottenham and allowed the play to be built up from the wings. Arsenal tried to crowd out the central areas in front of their goal by overloading it with central midfielders Dani Ceballos and Granit Xhaka. With the three centre-backs playing narrow as well as having Ceballos and Xhaka in front of them, there was very little chance for Spurs to build play from the central areas. In this instance, we can clearly see how compact the Arsenal defensive line is, and 7 out of the 10 outfield players of Arsenal are in their defensive third. Spurs mostly tried to play a direct brand of football in this game, and when these balls found Kane or Son in spaces, they would have no one to pass it to immediately and build the play. But things were made easier for the Spurs attack when individual mistakes like this one from Mustafi, when he committed when there was literally no option for Kane other than to dribble past him. This created a big chance for Spurs, but Martinez once again buried Arsenal out of the hole with a brilliant save. Spurs heavily targeted the channel between the Arsenal wide centre-backs and the wing-backs to progress their play. In this instance, we can see that Saka did not cover his passing lane properly, and this resulted in Lucas Moura playing a beautiful ball to Harry Kane, whose shot was saved by Martinez. This move resulted in a corner for Spurs, and this corner resulted in their second goal. Let's have a look at the corner now. TNA was marking Alderweireld, who is probably the second best header of the ball, if not the first, along with Harry Kane in the Spurs squad. This small mistake from Arsenal led to the Spurs winner, and if Arsenal can weed out these small mistakes from their game, I think they're going to be really competitive under Arteta in no time.